Hello there. Today I'm going to talk through my final major project bookwork slideshow. I'm going to be giving a little bit of insight into my idea development and creative process and give a little bit of an overview of my thoughts and feelings and try to cover what the writing doesn't quite explain. So, firstly, here is my title page. I tried to do an initial brainstorming of words and images to try and get an idea of what I wanted to achieve for this project and to find my bearings. I chose the words painting, mark making, and abstract art as I had worked with this previously and had really enjoyed working with it in previous projects. Here's my artist research. I chose artists Robert Mallory and Robert Rauschenberg. My reason for picking Mallory was because I loved his thick use of texture and almost three-dimensional aspects to his work. And I picked Robert Rauschenberg because of his use of photography and painting and the way he effortlessly combined the two in a collage stroke photo montage type style. I also liked his use of bright colour and I wanted to challenge myself by using more brighter colours in my work. It is the artist Sophie Kovan, another artist I researched. I enjoyed her thick use of textural paint, similar to Mallory. However, what I also enjoyed about her was her use of numbers, letters, and symbols, which is something that I wanted to incorporate into my final project as well. Here is a write up and a summary of the Burton Art Gallery. This was a local gallery which I visited in order to try to conduct primary research on artists who I may find potentially inspirational. Although I didn't find any artist who I found particularly inspirational, there were a few things to note, such as artist Taz Pollard, a local artist who creates ceramic plates with stenciling on them. Stenciling is something that I considered using for this project, as again, it is something that I've previously experimented with and something I thoroughly enjoyed using. There's also Francis Ginn, who did abstract painting, and I was also looking at abstract painting as well as a medium. However, I wasn't sure whether to pursue it or not during my experimentations phase. Here is my summary of the Bristol street art trip, which was hugely influential in this project, and I would say was probably a turning point in this project. The reason why it was a turning point, as previously mentioned, throughout my experimentation, although it was very useful, I was really struggling with what I wanted to do. I didn't know whether I wanted to do more abstract figurative art or whether I wanted to work with street art. Through visiting Bristol and visiting the famous areas such as Stokes Croft and Montpellier, I found myself really immersed in the power of street art and how it could be used as a medium to convey a message. I decided at that point that street art would be the medium that I would like to work within, as well as concluding other media. However, the basis and the concept of the idea of a wall with lots of different painting and posters being placed over it was what I wanted to achieve. After my visit to Bristol, I then thought about looking into more techniques and ideas behind street art and the various connotations and themes surrounding the idea of walls. I looked into wheat pasting and I also looked into different poster art and sticker bond, which is something that I hadn't really done much of previously. And I also looked into the different connotations of walls, as the vast majority of street art is normally stuck on walls. And I felt that walls in themselves were very symbolic and could be used to convey a message within themselves. So I did an initial brainstorm of ideas of words that are surrounded with walls. Again, this is a continuation of my exploration into street art via brainstorming. And I also decided to do some life drawing. So I did some contextual sketches, as you can see here. I tried to just do some nice basic sort of sketches of different walls to try and build up an idea of what kind of patina and texture I wanted to achieve. I did this throughout my local area, just using my own photography, and I did this during my spare time at home. And I edited these images on Photoshop just to try and bring the light up a little bit better in order to try to show better kind of color and more kind of contrast. As this is another aspect that I was looking at within my own project was use of color. Here is my final sketch, or one of my final sketches that I did for this project. This was where I initially started to look at what I was actually going to do and the layout of the piece and the different media I was going to incorporate. Although this wasn't the final definitive sketch, this was really useful in coming up with ideas and trying to kind of piece together my thoughts and feelings. Here is my planning for my frame. As you can see here, I'm looking at the dimensions and the materials that I was going to use for this work. I also looked into more contextual references such as stencils, and I also later go on to talk about uh, sticker bombing and poster art, as I feel these are concepts that I would like to experiment more with in the future, as well as for this project. Yeah, I'm talking more about my photographic poster art, which is something that I developed over the course of this year, and this is something that I've used in previous projects as well. And I was also trying to move forward with ideas and try to incorporate different concepts in my work. As you can see here by my research into death cards, which I thought were very useful as it gives the viewer a uh, it provokes feelings in the viewer of ideas such as mortality and death and humanity's closeness to the state of death. And also, I did this with my use of skulls and images, which is what something that I tried to bring forward in my work. It is my brainstorming of my title. I needed to figure out a title for my page, and I also wanted to stencil wording onto it, as this is a common technique used within street art. I picked the term all mouth, no ears, which is supposed to be a comment about people not listening and about people having too strong a narrative to consider others. I used this from the term the two ears, one mouth, use it in that proportion. Here is my final definitive sketch, which was the sketch I did right before I went into my creative process where I actually made the piece. As you can see here, I'm showcasing how the skulls are going to be stuck on, and I'm also showcasing where I'm going to place every piece of media and the different kinds of media that I'm going to use. Is my write up of my experiments, just going a quick overview of my different ideas and the kind of way I move forward with the project. And this is also showing my initial ideas with me wanting to create abstract art. Here is my creative process. This is where I started. So I went right from the start to the finish. So as you can see here, I'm talking about me cutting the wood and setting up the frame. I'm also talking about my doing of faux brickwork and gesso art. And I'm also looking at my use of texture and patina. As, as you can see here, I'm also showcasing my use once again of gesso art, but also my use of aging. As you can see here with the sprinkling of the ash, this is a technique that I often incorporate within my work. Here is me again adding more age and once again adding more kinds of ash and also using materials such as plastic bags to create texture. Here is where I dried the piece out in the sun. This is just me adding the finishing touches to my work, including spray paint and more ash. I also used varnish as well. After completing the varnish, I then moved on to the aerosol spray. I did a use of stencils and I tried to also use different kinds of paintwork as well, trying to sort of emulate and create a street art scene. Here you can see my cutout stencils with the title All Mouth No Ears. Below is me painting the frame with me using the black border previously talked about from the death cards. And this is also me just finalizing my plans and ideas and showing the final stages of the creative process. This is a overview of my finished piece and me talking about the layout of my project and also the layout of the final piece. It is my experimentations book. As you can see here, I'm talking about the use of thick texture such as permaplaster. I'm also talking about initial figurative art, which is something that I mentioned previously with my write-up of my experiments, but here it is in detail, and here are some more pieces that I did along with the annotations. Here is the planning of my fake brickwork, which I used. I previously done this technique before, however, I'd never done it on a large scale. As you can see, I'm trying to do it in a step-by-step process, looking at all the different paints and materials that I'm going to use. Here is me pasting the posters onto pieces of paper, and also this is me trying to talk about the paste mixture that I was going to use. As previously talked about, I talked about wheat pasting quite a lot, and this is again something that I wanted to incorporate as part of my final piece. Final element was me doing the stencils and me doing the spray paint. As you can see here, I'm doing a clear demonstration of that. This is just me finalising my ideas and my research. Okay, so that concludes my presentation. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.